It is now official. There is no turning back. Experts across multiple fields are finally confirming what so many have been quietly fearing for years. We have crossed a point of no return. You can feel it when you open your utility bills, a sharp intake of breath at a number that seems to defy logic. You see it in your grocery cart, which somehow holds less but costs more with each passing week. You can sense it in the subtle but undeniable strain spreading across communities, a quiet tension that hums just beneath the surface of daily life. What is coming next is no longer a distant prediction or a fringe theory. It is a reality that is already unfolding, its tendrils reaching into every corner of our lives. And yet, almost no one is willing to tell you the unvarnished truth about what is happening. For that reason, I urge you not to skip a single word of what I am about to share. Every piece of this puzzle connects to the next, forming a complete picture that is as alarming as it is crucial to understand. If you miss even one small detail, you will miss the entirety of the message, and I promise you, this is a message you cannot afford to ignore. I will reveal 4 hidden truths, 4 critical shifts that experts now privately admit have passed their tipping point, with no possibility of return. These are not future events, they are forces already reshaping the lives of millions across America, and indeed the entire Western world. Seniors in particular are on the front lines of this transformation, feeling its effects most acutely, even if no one has taken the time to connect the dots for them. The 4th and final truth I will unveil is by far the most serious, the most unsettling, and the most profoundly life-altering of them all. It is the one the mainstream media will not dare to touch with any real depth, for its implications are simply too vast. So I ask you to stay with me until the very end. Your understanding of what follows is of the utmost importance. Before I delve into the first hidden reality that experts have warned us about, a force already in motion, I would like to ask you something. Where are you listening from right now? Which city? Which state? Please drop it in the comments below. There is a strong chance you are already experiencing the direct consequences of what I am about to describe, and by sharing your location, you help create a living map of this change for others to see. It helps us all realize we are not alone in this. Before I delve into the first hidden reality that experts have warned us about, a force already in motion, I would like to ask you something. Where are you listening from right now? Which city? Which state? Please drop it in the comments below. There is a strong chance you are already experiencing the direct consequences of what I am about to describe, and by sharing your location, you help create a living map of this change for others to see. It helps us all realize we are not alone in this. While you are there, please take a moment to hit the like button. Doing so tells the platform that this is a valuable conversation, helping more people find this message so that more families can begin to prepare. And please, do not forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell. The information I am sharing is part of an ongoing story that will continue to unfold in the coming days and weeks, and I do not want you to be left behind in the dark. If you are watching this at this very moment, let me know in the comments by typing, "I'm with you." I want to see just how many of us are truly ready to face what I am about to share. Let us begin with something you can already feel in your hands, in your wallet, and in your budget. The first hidden truth is not a storm on the horizon. It is the ground crumbling beneath our feet right now. It is the relentless and irreversible erosion of our cost of living. You have certainly seen it, but perhaps you have not yet grasped how deeply and permanently it is cutting into the fabric of your life. The dollar in your pocket simply does not purchase what it did a mere 3 years ago. We see prices for essentials like food, fuel, and housing continue to climb, while wages for the majority of people stagnate, and fixed incomes, especially those upon which our seniors depend, are being quietly but brutally shrunk in their real-world value. The hidden crisis here is not the headline number of inflation itself. That is merely a symptom. The real crisis is the erosion. It is an erosion of comfort, an erosion of freedom, and most tragically, an erosion of the stability that generations of Americans once built their entire lives upon. This is not a temporary blip on the economic radar. It is a structural shift. The very same policies that were enacted to keep the economy afloat during years of crisis have created profound, long-term imbalances that are now tightening around ordinary people like a set of invisible chains. And yet, where were the warnings for our seniors about what this would truly mean for the next decade of their lives? Who told them to prepare for a reality where annual cost of living adjustments for pensions are dwarfed by the actual increase in expenses, where healthcare premiums could effectively double, and where secure housing becomes a luxury reserved for the wealthy, not a right for those on a fixed income? Years ago, I spoke about this very thing on a public stage, stating that a society that prints currency without producing commensurate value is creating an illusion, not genuine wealth. We are now living inside that illusion, and it is beginning to fracture. Seniors are being forced to navigate a system where the act of saving money is punished by inflation, and spending every last dollar just to survive becomes the only viable choice. This is not the hallmark of a sustainable economy. It is the sound of a quiet collapse. Just last week, I was reading the story of a retired couple from Ohio. Let us call them Tom and Martha. They embodied the American dream. They worked hard their entire lives. He is an engineer and she is a school teacher. They saved diligently, invested carefully, and did everything they were told was right. Yet today, they are burning through their retirement fund at nearly twice the rate their financial planner had originally projected. Their weekly grocery bill is 40% higher than it was just 5 years ago. Their energy bill has nearly doubled, especially during the harsh winter months. When Martha was quoted as saying, "I feel like our future is slipping right through our fingers," she was not being dramatic. She was articulating the silent fear that now grips millions of seniors across the nation. If you are listening to this right now, and you have noticed this same corrosive trend in your own life, please share your confirmation in the comments. Simply writing, "Yes, it's happening," or "I see it too," is a powerful act. Acknowledging the truth is always the first and most critical step toward protecting yourself from it. But this begs a crucial question. Why is no one telling you this truth in plain language? The answer is as simple as it is cynical. Panic does not serve profit. The illusion of normalcy, the idea that this is all a temporary phase that will soon correct itself, is what keeps the great economic machine running. Media headlines will fixate on fleeting market recoveries and abstract consumer confidence indexes, while the silent majority, particularly older Americans, are being pushed toward a financial cliff hidden beneath layers of polite, sanitized statistics. This erosion is, in effect, a quiet theft of dignity. It does not announce its arrival with breaking news alerts and flashing banners. It creeps into your life one grocery bill, one prescription refill, one rent increase at a time. The system is counting on your silence, on your quiet adaptation to a steadily diminishing quality of life. But your silence can no longer protect you. You cannot single-handedly stop the erosion of the cost of living, but you can build a bulwark against it. The preparation begins with something deceptively simple: radical awareness. I strongly recommend you start by tracking where every single dollar goes for 31 consecutive days. You might consider using something like a 31-day daily high-impact planner, a simple notebook where you write down not just your daily spending, but also your energy level and one small financial choice you made that day. The clarity that comes from this practice is astonishing. You will be amazed at how visibility restores a sense of control. Most seniors do not lose their financial strength in a single catastrophic event. They lose it invisibly, day by day, by not noticing where their power is leaking away. Preparation begins with this awareness, and it is followed by simplification. It is time to audit your life. Stop subscribing to services you no longer use or truly need. Consolidate your energy use in practical ways. Prioritize your spending on health and connection over possessions. The future will not belong to those who spend the most. It will belong to those who adapt the fastest. And if you are a person of faith, pray for wisdom, not for the absence of fear. Preparation without inner peace creates anxiety, not progress. God gives clarity to those who act with purpose. What is happening now is not a punishment. It is a transition. But make no mistake, only those who are prepared will cross it safely. We have crossed this first threshold, the erosion of our cost of living, and there is no going back. But this is only the beginning. The next hidden truth is something far deeper, something that is unraveling within the very system we were taught would protect us in our most vulnerable moments. Most people have no idea what is truly coming next. Stay with me. Do not skip a single second of what I am about to say, because everything from this point forward connects to what could very well determine your future security, your family's stability, and your own peace of mind. It is no longer just a warning whispered in the halls of hospitals. It is a reality happening now, quietly, systematically, and irreversibly. Our healthcare system, the vast and complex network built with the promise of protecting lives, is exhibiting cracks so deep and so fundamental that many experts now privately concede it has passed its own point of no return. And yet, very few are willing to admit this publicly. What is unfolding is not about distant, abstract predictions. It is already reshaping families, altering futures, and leaving millions, especially our seniors, profoundly vulnerable. I need you to hear me with absolute clarity. Do not skip anything I am about to say. Every word connects. Every second matters. If you miss one part of this message, you will miss the vital thread that ties your personal safety to the larger forces now at play. If you are still here and listening intently, share a comment below that says, "I'm listening carefully," or simply type, "I won't skip." This is not just information, it is preparation. The first hidden truth we discussed was the erosion of the cost of living, the silent draining of our financial strength. But what happens when that relentless financial erosion collides with a healthcare system that is itself collapsing under its own weight? The answer is the second hidden truth, the systemic breakdown of healthcare. It is already well in motion. Experienced doctors are leaving the profession in droves, retiring early or quitting due to burnout, at a rate far faster than new ones can be trained to replace them. Hospitals, particularly in rural areas, are shutting their doors at a record pace, creating vast medical deserts. For those who can access care, wait times for appointments and procedures are increasing to unsustainable levels, even as the actual quality of that care appears to be declining. Meanwhile, the cost of prescription drugs continues its inexorable climb, and the very structure that millions of Americans depend on to survive their later years is being stretched far beyond its breaking point. Let us start with the hard facts. Here in the United States, a staggering number of more than 83 million Americans now live in areas with inadequate access to basic healthcare services. That is nearly 1 in every 4 people. This is not a problem confined to our borders. In the United Kingdom, the National Health Service, often called the NHS, has waiting lists that have surpassed 7.5 million people, an all-time high. In Canada, patients in major provinces are waiting, on average, 22 weeks just to see a specialist after being referred by their primary doctor. In Australia, rural clinics are closing faster than they can be staffed, leaving entire communities stranded. In powerhouse European nations like Germany and France, emergency departments are so overcrowded that they are frequently operating beyond recognized safety limits. These are not isolated, coincidental events. They are connected patterns, symptoms of a much deeper collapse in the fundamental model of modern healthcare. Let us start with the hard facts. Ask yourself this critical question. How did we reach a point where the sickest generation in history, the very seniors who built the modern world we inhabit, are now left waiting for care that, in some cases, may never come? In America, a retired engineer in Florida named Paul recently shared his story of waiting 11 excruciating hours in an emergency room with chest pains before a doctor could even see him. In Canada, a widow named June was informed that the hip replacement surgery she desperately needs would have a 14-month wait time. In New Zealand, an elderly man lost consciousness during a delayed dialysis appointment because of critical hospital staffing shortages. Each of these stories is heartbreaking, but they are no longer rare. They are terrifyingly becoming the new normal. What the media will not tell you is that the system is not failing because of bad doctors or lazy nurses. It is failing because it has been fundamentally designed for profit, not for prevention. It is a system that rewards reactive treatment of disease, not the proactive cultivation of health. It rewards dependency on pharmaceuticals and procedures, not the empowerment of recovery. And as the costs of this model continue to spiral upward, the system, quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, begins to filter who gets care first and who is left waiting. Seniors, the very people who built our economies and paid into this system their entire lives, are now the ones being disproportionately left behind. That is the hidden truth. It is not because they are forgotten, but because in a purely transactional sense, their long-term survival is no longer deemed profitable to the system. If you felt the quality of your care decline, or noticed these changes happening where you live, please share in the comments. It's happening where I live. Your story might be the wake-up call someone else desperately needs to hear. Here is the part that most people do not see coming. The healthcare breakdown does not happen overnight in a dramatic, cinematic collapse. It erodes, slowly, insidiously. Appointment delays of weeks turn into months, which can turn a manageable condition into a misdiagnosis. Misdiagnoses then escalate into emergencies. Emergencies lead to catastrophic medical debt, and that debt ultimately leads to despair. The system does not fail all at once. It fails quietly, one senior, one family, one tragedy at a time. Think of it like a massive bridge that appears stable from a distance, until one crucial support beam snaps under the strain. You do not see the failure at first, you only feel the catastrophic result when it is far too late. Let me ask you, when was the last time you had a checkup that did not feel rushed? When was the last time your doctor truly listened to you without one eye on the clock? How many medications have you or a loved one been prescribed without a clear explanation of how they interact with one another? If you have noticed these subtle but significant changes, you are not imagining it. Please share your experience in the comments by writing, "Yes, I've seen this too." Your validation can help others trust their own instincts. This is precisely why personal preparation matters more now than ever before. You cannot control the vast, complex system, but you can control your readiness for its failures. This is where that 31-day daily high-impact planner becomes an essential tool once again. Use it not just to track your spending, but to meticulously log your health patterns. Note your hours of sleep, your diet, your daily energy levels, any recurring pain, and your medication schedule. In an era of systemic failure, your personal data becomes your most powerful form of defense. You are now your own first line of healthcare. And please remember this truth. Most people begin to prepare far too late because they mistakenly believe they have more time. But time is the one commodity that is rapidly running out. In the United States alone, over 1 million nurses are projected to retire within the next decade. The World Health Organization, or WHO, warns of a global shortage of 10 million healthcare workers by the year 2030. This is not wild speculation. It is documented demographic fact. And yet, you will not hear this discussed with the urgency it deserves in mainstream headlines. Why? Because fear drives instability, and instability demands accountability from those in power. Silence keeps the broken systems functioning just a little bit longer, but that same silence also keeps the public dangerously unprepared. This silence is not born of ignorance, it is a product of design. If the majority of citizens truly understood how perilously thin the healthcare safety net has become, there would be widespread panic. I am not here to create panic. I am here to awaken awareness before that panic becomes our only reality. This silence is not born of ignorance, it is a product of design. If the majority of citizens truly understood how perilously thin the healthcare safety net has become, there would be widespread panic. I am not here to create panic. I am here to awaken awareness before that panic becomes our only reality. We are crossing the second threshold, the breakdown of a healthcare system we all believed would always be there to protect us. And yet, the deeper truth is that something even more serious, more hidden, and more permanent is already unfolding beneath it all. If what I have shared so far has opened your eyes, then you must stay with me, because the next revelation I am about to share ties directly to your financial future and your personal independence. It is something experts warned about years ago, but their signs were tragically ignored. And when you understand it, you will see how everything, from the rising cost of living to the collapsing healthcare system, connects to a far darker and more irreversible shift that is already shaping your reality today. Do not skip a single word of what I will say next. It is the bridge to what is truly coming, and to the fourth truth that almost no one dares to speak about. That fourth hidden truth is not just a warning. It is the turning point that will determine who makes it through what lies ahead and who does not. We have already explored the devastating impacts of cost of living erosion and the systemic breakdown of healthcare. But what I am about to tell you now is even more personal, because it strikes at the very heart of the one thing you have worked your entire life to build: your security. What happens when the money you counted on, the nest egg that was meant to protect you through your final decades, quietly begins to vanish? I am not talking about it being stolen in a single night through some elaborate scam, but rather being drained silently, month after month, by powerful forces that no one ever warned you about. This is not a theoretical exercise. This is happening right now in communities across America, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and beyond. And the silence surrounding this phenomenon is deafening. Stay with me. Do not skip a word of what I am saying, because this next piece connects directly to a feeling you have likely had in your gut for some time now. The nagging sense that something in the financial system simply is not adding up. Experts call it retirement fund erosion, and it is the third hidden truth. It is the slow, grinding collapse of the real value of our savings, the systematic destruction of purchasing power inside the very retirement accounts that were designed to protect us, not betray us. Your account statement might show the same number of dollars on paper, but the truth on the ground is brutal. The same $200,000 that could once sustain a comfortable and dignified retirement for a couple now covers barely half of the essentials. In the United Kingdom, a recent survey revealed that over 54% of retirees report their savings are running out far faster than they ever expected. In Canada, 1 in 3 seniors now relies on credit cards to cover basic daily expenses, a terrifying statistic. In Germany, the average state pension now covers barely 2/3 of an individual's basic needs. In Japan, a country known for its reverence for elders, retirees are returning to part-time work well into their 70s and 80s just to make ends meet. In Australia and New Zealand, the soaring cost of housing alone now consumes more than half of the average retirement income. This is not a story of individual mismanagement. It is erosion by design. The very same monetary mechanisms that were used to inflate markets for decades are now reversing their course, consuming the wealth of those who place their trust in the system the most. Ask yourself a simple, logical question. How can global stock markets be hitting record highs while your personal savings buy less and less every single year? How can we have record corporate profits coexisting with empty wallets for retirees? Something is profoundly wrong, and very few people with a platform dare to talk about it openly. If you have noticed this yourself, if you have felt your own financial security diminishing despite doing everything right, share your voice in the comments. Simply write, "It's happening now," or "Yes, I see it too." Acknowledging this pattern together is how we begin to reclaim control. Here is the hidden truth that the media and many financial institutions will never tell seniors directly. Inflation does not destroy wealth evenly, it transfers it. When central banks flood the system with newly created currency, those who own assets like stocks and real estate see their net worth increase on paper. But those who rely on fixed incomes or savings, the seniors, the retirees, they lose. When interest rates are manipulated, the entire calculus of risk and safety is distorted. Retirement accounts that are conservatively invested, tied to bonds or other safe funds, quietly shrink in their real-world value. It is simple, cold arithmetic. And yet, how many financial institutions have proactively warned their retired clients about this long-term trap? Very few. Why would they? Panic does not retain customers. So instead, they offer hollow market optimism, selling reassurance, while the foundation of your security continues to erode just beneath the surface. In Florida, a retired teacher named Maria shared her story. Her meticulously crafted savings plan, which was once projected to last until she was 92 years old, is now on track to run dry by the time she is 81. That is 11 years of her life, her security, her peace of mind vanished into thin air because of soaring medical and energy costs that her plan never accounted for. In Manchester, England, a retired bus driver named Alan lamented, "I did everything they told me to do. I worked for 40 years, saved every month, trusted the system. Now they tell me I should just be grateful I can still afford to turn on the heat in the winter." These are not isolated, anecdotal stories. They are the early warnings of a system that is reaching its breaking point. If you believe this erosion will somehow stop on its own, I am here to tell you it will not. The entire structure that sustains retirement income worldwide is predicated on continuous economic growth in a world that is fundamentally slowing down. The math has stopped working, but the system has not yet officially told you. Here is the even deeper truth. Your retirement plan was never designed for the modern reality of decades-long longevity, rampant medical inflation, and massive housing bubbles all colliding at the same time. The model itself is collapsing under the weight of the 21st century. And still, no one is issuing a clear warning. Please tell us what is happening where you live in the comments. Are retirees in your community struggling more this year than they did last year? Let us compare notes, because this pattern is global and your local perspective is invaluable. This erosion follows a clear and predictable cycle. First, inflation eats away at your purchasing power. Then, interest rate adjustments reduce the value of your conservative investments. Next, healthcare costs rise faster than any income adjustment can possibly match. The systems in place promise reform, but perpetually delay meaningful action to avoid inducing panic. And through it all, retirees are the ones who silently bear the cost. We have crossed the line. There is no turning back to the previous era of stable pensions and predictable returns. The system that once guaranteed security now guarantees only uncertainty. But here is what almost no one will tell you. You can still reclaim a significant measure of control, not by fighting the system head-on, but by adapting faster than it expects you to. That adaptation begins with one thing: awareness through daily tracking. Remember that 31-day daily high-impact planner I mentioned earlier? This is where it becomes your lifeline. Track every stream of income, every single expense, and your moments of financial stress on a daily basis. This is not just about budgeting, it is about achieving visibility. When erosion hides in the silence of automatic payments and unnoticed price increases, daily tracking becomes your shield. Seniors who commit to this practice consistently report feeling up to 20% more stable within just a few months, simply because they are identifying the invisible leaks before they become catastrophic breaches. Please start today. Do not wait. Because the next wave is not just about money, it is about control. It is about the ability to decide how you live, how you care for yourself, and for how long your savings will sustain your dignity. When your fund erodes, you lose choices. That is the real loss. And yet, even this is not the final truth. The fourth hidden reality is something far darker, far more urgent, and more all-encompassing than anything I have shared with you so far. It is the underlying reason why all of these systems, cost of living, healthcare, and savings, are being quietly and irrevocably reshaped beneath the surface. And its consequences reach into every home, every retirement account, and every family. I will reveal that next, but only if you stay with me to the end. Because what is coming is not years away. It is already here, reshaping millions of lives as we speak. You were not meant to hear this message by accident. You found it because it is time. It is time to prepare, time to protect, and time to see what others cannot yet see. The erosion of retirement is not just a financial problem. It is a warning signal of the great transformation unfolding globally. And the truth hidden behind that transformation, the one that almost no expert dares to name, is what comes next. It is the most dangerous and important shift of all. The final truth is the one that almost no one dares to discuss openly, because it is the master key that connects everything. The soaring costs, the collapsing healthcare systems, the erosion of retirement security, every single line of inquiry we have followed so far leads directly here. What is coming next is not merely an economic storm or a political crisis. It is a planetary shift that will test every single system upon which we rely for our survival. I need you to keep listening with the utmost care. Do not skip a single second. The fourth hidden thing that experts warned we would cross, the one from which we can never truly return, is climate-driven instability. This is not about abstract forecasts for distant decades. It is here, now, actively reshaping daily life in real time. Global temperatures, rainfall patterns, food supply chains, and even our insurance systems are all now moving beyond the boundaries of predictable limits. And the reason the mainstream narrative so carefully avoids this angle is simple. Confronting this reality threatens the very foundation of our economic models, and panic is bad for profit. Look around you. In the United States, more than 170 million people experienced extreme heat alerts this past summer alone. In Canada, unprecedented wildfires forced the evacuation of entire towns, and the smoke choked skies across international borders. In the United Kingdom, flooding destroyed infrastructure that was built centuries ago to withstand a much gentler climate. In Australia, prime farmland that was once worth millions is now becoming uninsurable against drought and fire. In New Zealand, coastal properties are losing value faster than mortgages can be repaid. In the agricultural heartlands of Europe, nations like Germany, the Netherlands, and France saw harvest losses exceeding 20% in some regions due to extreme weather. In China, severe droughts and sudden catastrophic flash floods are now occurring in the same provinces within the span of a few months. In Japan, energy costs are soaring as cooling demands during heat waves break previous national records time and again. Each of these events, when reported on its own, seems like a local tragedy, but when you view them together, they form an undeniable pattern, a cascading global feedback loop that is already rewriting the fundamental rules of food production, public health, housing, and finance. And our seniors, many of whom are living on fixed incomes, are caught directly in the crossfire of rising utility bills, shocking food inflation, and disrupted access to medical logistics. If you've noticed profound changes in the weather where you live, please share it in the comments. A simple, "Yes, it's different now," or "I've seen it too," helps to build a collective testimony. Your stories are crucial because they confirm what the data already shows. This is not imagination, it is acceleration. Now, why is this not the lead story on the front page every single day? Because to fully acknowledge the reality of climate-driven instability means admitting that our current retirement projections, our insurance models, and our healthcare budgets are all dangerously outdated. It forces a complete recalculation of risk that few institutions can financially or politically afford to make. So, the easier path is silence. Maintain a sense of calm, keep the investors steady, and let individual households quietly absorb the escalating costs. In Florida, a 74-year-old woman named Nancy lost her retirement home not once but twice in 3 years to hurricane-related flooding. In the south of France, an elderly couple now pays triple their previous cost for basic home insurance, if they can get it at all. In Sydney, Australia, energy bills for pensioners have risen by a staggering 40% since 2020. These are not distant stories, they are the opening chapters of a permanent global shift. Ask yourself, what happens when these two forces, climate change and economic fragility, converge? What happens when power grids fail during record-breaking heat waves? When crop yields decline and the price of imported food surges? When our already overwhelmed healthcare systems are suddenly faced with spikes in climate-related illnesses after floods or heat events? These are no longer hypothetical questions. They are documented trends, and they are unfolding faster with each passing year. Here is the hidden pattern. Environmental volatility increases inflation on basic goods. The rising costs of insurance and infrastructure repair are passed on to consumers. Institutions respond with emergency spending, which expands national debt. That debt pressure eventually drives currency devaluation, and seniors on fixed incomes lose their purchasing power, closing the loop. This is why experts say we have crossed the point of no return. The systems that sustained our comfort for decades are now in a constant state of reaction, not prevention. The stability of the past is mathematically impossible to restore. But this does not mean we are helpless. It means we must adapt. Visibility and preparedness are our greatest assets. Use that 31-day planner to track temperature changes in your area, to note spikes in your utility bills that correspond with weather events, and to monitor local supply patterns. Identify community support networks early. Seniors who do this are turning their anxiety into a functional strategy. The key is not to control the world, but to control your response time. This is why this message found you today. Time is running short for the kind of preparation that can still make a profound difference. The next decade will not be defined by a single disaster, but by the increasing frequency of them. If this final truth has resonated with you, please hit the like button so that more people who need to hear this can find this message. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share this video with someone you care about, because silence helps no one. We have crossed the point of no return, but those who choose to prepare now with clarity, discipline, and community connection can still write their own outcome. This is not the end. It is a test, and the ultimate measure of survival will be adaptability, not blind optimism. Check my playlist for more information, and I will see you in the next one.